Hi guys. Well, today we're going to do a video some more on alignment because I've had several comments about doing some more on it. What we're going to do today is basically go over a basically a basic AM or FM radio anyway, the FM alignment part of it. I had a comment that wanted to compare the two different sweep generators. I believe that's what they were asking, so we'll kind of play with this one and we'll play with this one and show some of the differences. In the next video after this, then we'll probably do use a VTVM and play with the AM on this. I mean, you can do FM too, and I will do one little thing about the discriminator using this, showing how it can be done. And then one other comment wanted to was to do alignment by ear, so we'll do some playing around with that too in the next video. Right now on the screen we've got a wave. It's kind of being jumpy, but a little part of that's because a cable I got here is a little bad. So anyway, let's kind of look through the instructions on this particular radio. Now we're going to focus mainly on the IF and not so much on doing the oscillator, although I will read through that. We will look through that together, but the FM, now this is the visual. In other words, using the scope, which should be nice, it behaves itself. The FM, IF, and discriminator, it'll tell you different places to hook to different tubes. They want you to do the discriminator first, which we did here in a previous video. I showed you that. We would be connected with the signal input to pin 1 of V4. Now up on the computer screen here I have the layout, and this is V4 here. This is our discriminator here, CAN. So we would hook to pin 1, which is the grid, and that feeds through this IF through this tube and then into the discriminator. We would then pick up a signal here, but the first thing they want you to do is adjust this one for core T4 for maximum amplitude. And the little notes here is 1 and 9 and 2 and 9. 9 just talks about how to hook the generator in. 1 and 2 is up here. On 1 we would hook the D-mod probe. In this case they talk about the vertical plates of the scope that would be using the WR50B, but since we're using this one, then we just hook the D-mod. But it'd be connected to the grid of the limiter of V5 through a 1 mega ohm resistor to chassis. So to do the first part of it, to just this third FM, we feed a signal in here, we pick it up here, we make that adjustment. Then we keep the signal being fed in here when we do the discriminator, but this time it tells us to take care of that. We go to 2, and 2 says to hook to pin 3 of V6, and V6 is the 19T8, a discriminator in first audio 2. Okay, so, and then we would adjust T6, the top of it, or the secondary, for symmetry, and the bottom for the highest positive and negative peaks, and that happens to be this can here. We adjust it. The top will give us symmetry so that the curve looks nice kind of an S shape, and the bottom just gives it the maximum amplitude on both ends of the curve. After that, then we still continue with pin B of B4, and then we will adjust the core T4 for maximum amplitude. Again, just like this. Our connections will remain pretty much the same throughout this, but in this case we keep switching. Now after we do this one and do T4, then we move to V3 and do T3, and then V1 and do T1. Now what they're basically doing is, once we start with the IF, we're going to go here, we're going to feed a signal in, we're going to pick it up here, we're going to adjust this IF. Then we're going to move to here, always picking the signal up here, but move here and then adjust this IF. And then we'll move down to here and then to adjust this IF. Again, always picking the signal up from here. So they're adjusting the IFs, feeding the signal into the closest IF they're going to adjust, is what they're doing. Now some radios may just state you put a signal in right here and then just start at the last, work your way through, but you never move the signal and you never move your pickup. But this particular one is wanting you to move it along as you go, as you make your adjustments. Now as far as the rest of it, the FM, oscillator, and antenna and RF trimmers, they're marked here, the two different capacitors on top of the tuning condenser, as well as the coil that's got a core in it that needs to be adjusted. Now that's not that bad of a deal to do. Some radios, I got a Philco 49909, and you can look that radio up in Nostalgia Air on their website and get the schematic for it and get the instructions. But on it, when you get to doing the oscillator on it and doing those adjustments, you actually will be required to bend the coils if they're out, if it's out of whack, if it needs adjusting. So you either squeeze them in a little bit or stretch them out a little bit, and their instructions basically state that you use a little tool like this. It has a piece of brass on one end and carbon on the other end, and their instructions basically will state that you stick in one of these in one end and see what if you lose signal or you gain signal. The signal goes up, then you need to squeeze it down when you use another one, and I can't remember which one's which that you do, but if you use the other one, and if you gain signal on it, then you would stretch it. If the signal goes down, when you put these in, either one of them into that coil, and they're open coils, then what will happen, if the signal drops, then it's okay. It's in adjustment. You don't have to mess with it. And most of the time they are. You don't ever have to really mess with them, especially FM ones. They're on FM. But it's good to check them. So anyway, we're just going to kind of play around here a little bit. We get the radio turned back on. It's kind of getting tired of watching it jump around. And we're just kind of... It's basically adjusted. I'm not using what they require on here. They talk about using a special filtering, but with the way I'm feeding the RF in, this little box here has its own filters in it, which basically are the same thing that they're requiring. And then I'm using the DMOD probe, and it seems to work better without the 1 meg resistor, and I think that's because it's got pretty good high impedance on its own. so it don't really need it. I would be using the other one, like this one here that you've seen before, except it's got a little problem. This wire here is broke somewhere inside. My guess is right where it goes in, right in here, because the way they had those rigged up for strain relief is they literally bend that wire, bend it up, bend it over like this, and then bend it back around like that, and it's pretty sharp bends. And I've already replaced on the other probe, the RF, 2 wires on it because it was broke when I got them. So I'm gonna move you over here. First, I'm gonna show you what I'm doing. We take a typical alignment tool like this. It's just a fiber. It's kind of got a screwdriver end on it. The other end's got a plastic shaft with a little piece of metal in it. So we're not really going to follow the instructions since it's already in line, but I want to show you what it does when you play with it. The little blippy on there that you see here at the top, that's the marker at 10.7. Now if I can get hooked in here, okay, it goes down, goes up. If I go too much, it wants to go off frequency a little bit. So we kind of get it to peak where it's on 10.7. Whoops, sorry about that, guys. Interesting. My cable's losing some strength there. I think we're going to have to be fixing some cables eventually. There we go. Now the top side, adjust it a little bit, and it really changes things. We peak it so we stay on frequency. That's how come we want a marker, because sometimes they don't really what you call max peak out at 10.7 exactly. Now what you would do to do it properly is follow the instructions, and basically that would mean to do exactly what they're wanting you to do according to the instructions, and you would take and connect on where you're supposed to connect on to. So we disconnect this. I'm going to go ahead and pull this loose so I can get in here a little easier. Now on this chassis is ground, so when we're hooking our returns or our grounds for our generator and stuff, then we hook right to the chassis. I'm hooked on this wire which actually goes right to chassis ground here. You can kind of see that there. Now try to get on here. Let's see, I want to go into we're going to go ahead and do core of the T4. So pin of V4, pin 1, V4. So that would be this guy here. So that's pin 1 there. Make a connection, and then we'll hook up the ground and come back here and hook to our hookup point. And we'll probably have to increase the signal strength, possibly. Yeah. See, when I was hooked way down here, the amplitude was way high because I was, picking a signal up here. I was going through several stages of amplification. Now here we are, and it appears that we're probably just a little bit off, but not much. There we go. That looks a little better. Of course, I've got antenna leads here, and if I get around them too much, they kind of, or the connections, it kind of changes things. And that darn cable's really giving me a lot of trouble. As you see it floating up and down, that's that cable losing signal. The next stage would be to go to the next step, which would be then we would move to pin 1 of V3. So we disconnect from there, and we go to pin 1 of V3, which is right down here. So, looks like I'm going to have to find a different cable to put on there. See if I can find one here. Because that cable is just bound to terminate. It's not going to be nice to me. So, let me look here and see what I got. Just give me a minute. Still not. There we go. Well, it looks like we're having some other problems too. Rather interesting. There we go. Kind of lost a little bit of the blip here because I adjusted the generator up a little bit. But it's still giving me some troubles. Almost as though I think I'm losing a tube in this radio. As it gets hot. Could also be a resistor. Turn the radio back on, let her cool just a little bit. We appear to be having some issues with the tube. So, and I'm not sure what I've got in stock for tubes for this, and I'm not even sure which one it is. But what I think we'll do is, being another part of this, and we're getting along here, looks like this is going to be 3 parts. I'm probably going to stop this video here, and I'll get the radio working. We'll probably do a troubleshooting video on this radio. But since I'm running right at 19 minutes now, in the next video I will show you what it looks like with the WR50B, just standard sweep generator, and how it's hooked up, and how you get a marker into it, and we'll see on that one, and then probably be a third video in the series when we do the VTVM, and hopefully get into the doing it by ear. So until next time, until the next video, thanks for watching and thanks for your comments, and I'll get set up, and we'll probably at some point here do a video on this thing, doing some troubleshooting on it, but this video is long enough so I don't have time to do it now. I'll be running out of memory if I don't. So thanks again, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.